Welcome to the Eden Podcast. I'm your host, Bruce C.E. Fleming, Executive Director of the True316 Foundation. Our website is tru316.com. That's true316.com. And here at the True316 Foundation, we're having some exciting developments. Most of all, coming up on March 16, which would be January, February, March, that'd be the third month, 16, that would be a Sunday. On 316 Day, March 16, in Orlando, Florida, we're going to be holding our 316 Day celebration at Campus Crusade for Christ headquarters, Crew headquarters in Orlando, Florida, starting at 2:30 Eastern. We'd love to have you there. And if you can come, we'd really be glad to see you there. Or you can follow us online, or we hope to have the replay up later on our YouTube channel, which is also at True316 Foundation. We are now starting to dive into the Eden insights beyond the Genesis ones that we've recently done, and we're moving on to the related passage in Ephesians 5 and 6. We have a book series called the Eden Book Series, and there are 4 books in the Eden Book Series. The first one is Genesis 2 and 3. The second one is on Ephesians 5 and 6, and that's where we are right now. We call this Beyond Eden Insight number 1. A lot of people like to just dive into Ephesians chapter 5, and they have a few key verses that they're interested in, and they frequently take these verses out of context. So our problem is, what is the context in Ephesians 5? What is the beginning of the main passage? Where does it end? And then what are the pieces? What are the parts? What are the related insights? What are the main points? So we're going to look into that in these 4 insights. Here's insight number 1. Did you know in Ephesians 5 to 6, Paul used a literary pattern from the Old Testament called the jump, jump, high jump pattern? In this kind of a pattern, at the center of the high jump, you find the main idea of the passage. So if you're looking in the jump section, you have to say, well, okay, this is good, but I need to find the high jump. And when you find the high jump, you need to find the center of the high jump. And when you find the center of the high jump, you will find the directing idea of the entire pericope or the entire passage. So where does it start and where does it end? And where is the main idea? By the way, this pattern is clear in the Old Testament Hebrew, and it's used clearly by Paul here in the New Testament Greek, but I really haven't seen this translated properly or clearly in New Testament translations. So we're going to have to dig in, and that's why we do Bible study, not just Bible reading, but Bible study. Here are the parts of Paul's jump, jump, high jump pattern. In jump number 1, Paul starts in 5:15 and goes to 5:18. And he has 4 main ideas, but he ends with his first important point in the first jump, and that is at the end of verse 18. So Ephesians 5:18, be being filled with the Spirit. The next jump explains what that means in detail. And jump number 2, which starts in verse 19a, continues with 19b, then 20, and then 21. So there's 4 sections to jump number 2. We learn how Spirit-filled believers relate to God in 19b and 20, and how Spirit-filled believers relate to one another in 19a and 21. So we are looking at a parallel passage there in jump number 2. Again, the idea, though, is at the end of the jump, we have the main idea, which is elaborated in the following section. So in jump number 1, in verse 18, we come across be being filled with the Spirit, and we want to know, what does that mean? Then in jump number 2, Paul goes into details, and he tells you what it means. He tells us that when you're filled with the Spirit, you relate to God, and you relate to one another. And the main idea, though, is at the end, how we relate to one another. Then the following high jump explains that. In the high jump in 522 to 69, we learn how spirit-filled believers relate to one another in the way Christ and the church are united in one body. In the high jump, we have three illustrations that point to the center point, and we have three more illustrations that point back to the center point. So the ones that point to the center point start in 522, and they work their way up through 531. The ones that point back start in 533 and they finish in 6:9. The point is that believers in Christ are united in one joint body. Well, I'd like you to learn more about this. There are several ways we go into this in detail. One is season 2 of the Eden podcast. Another one is, if you can sign up, we'd love to have you do that. Take the Beyond Eden workshop. You can go to true316.com/workshop, or you can email mimi@true316.com and sign up for the next time we teach this one on Ephesians 5 and 6. Or you can get a hold of the book, Beyond Eden, and that's available on Amazon. Well, we'd like to have you join us for the 316-day celebration coming up, and we are going to continue on our next episode diving into what happens in this passage and what are the main ideas. I'll give you a clue. The high point of the high jump is found in Ephesians 5:32, where Christ and all believers are united in one joint body.